Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash Brent live from the Atzenhofer studio in beautiful downtown Victoria, Texas. We're glad you're all here. Thanks for joining us, as we are every Monday through Friday, 7 to 8 Central Time.
Most
Mondays
through
yeah.
Fridays.
On the on Magic the Mothership, Facebook, YouTube, the Noble Network, wherever you're tuning in. We appreciate you. Thank you for making us part of your day and starting your day with us.
KTMV Television in Corpus Christi, where we look better than ever.
Absolutely.
Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great friends at A.T. Dearland Feed. 51 degrees in Victoria under mostly clear skies. The high today is 77. We're looking at some chances of showers Thursday through Sunday. 90% on Friday. Isn't that like 80 or 90% on Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it says.
So it's going to rain part of the day, part of the week.
Thunderstorms.
Yeah, got that going for us. Very excited to have Congressman Michael Cloud coming in about 7:30. He'll field your questions. One thing I appreciate always about the congressman, besides his accessibility, is his complete lack of reluctance. He will talk to you about anything. You want to talk to him about fiscal cliffs, unfunded mandates, the war in Iran. He is. I've never heard him say ever. I'd rather not talk about that.
No.
So he's fine.
Nor does he ever come and hand us a list of talking points or questions to ask him either.
Nobody does that.
Oh, there are some that do that.
There have been some that have tried to do that. Yeah. Speaking of that, we also need to make an effort here in the next couple of weeks, and I haven't done it. So for those of you at the City of Victoria who are assigned to listen to this program every day and report to Jesus Garza what is said, would you please pass along to our city manager that it's time for him to come back to the program? We haven't had a live de facto state of the city address from the city manager in months. It's been what?
Ever?
Well, it's been a long time since he's been here. And he, too, is often, he's always willing to come on. Every time that we speak, he'll say, I need to come on. He has we welcome you into the beautiful.
Always willing to come on, but never comes on. So
Right.
he's not so willing to come on.
It's like a Jewish honeymoon. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Just sits there on the edge of the bed and begs. Welcome you into the opulent, well-appointed, beautiful Atzenhofer studio. We're so proud of our affiliation with Atzenhofer as our studio sponsor. They do so many things for us, and they do so many things for you. If you need a new car, if you need a used vehicle. I drove by this morning. I changed my route, so bad luck couldn't follow me. I don't want to be predictable. I'm not superstitious. I'm just cautious. And I came down to Vero, and the dealership is even really more beautiful at 5:40 in the morning. It's well lit.
The homeless have gone.
No, there's nobody there.
just
That's beautiful. It's great. It's a beautiful place. There's tons of pre-owned vehicles on the lot, including Ash's car of the week.
Yep, my 2024 Honda Accord Hybrid, 46 miles to the gallon on the Highway
something?
41 in the city.
It's got remote start, Android, Apple CarPlay, cruise control, keyless entry, keyless ignition. It's got all the bells and whistles for under $30,000.
And under 50,000 miles. Great car.
It's a very, very cool. It's a good-looking car.
It's a very nice car.
It's kind of a gray with it's all blacked
silver.
out. But they also have, if you want to go to the next level, they've also got a brand new Z06 Corvette in the showroom. So those of you that feel like going fast and sporty could be fun, get by Atzenhofer today. Somewhere in between Silverado pickup, Suburban, Tahoe. They've got it all at Atzenhofer.
Scott Tomko, Greg Garcia, Justin Glass on the podium this morning. Thanks for being the first ones in. Let's see who else is in this morning. Don Nicole, Stephanie Connie, Junior Samples, Jordan Glass, P. Strauss, Marvin Mickish, Andrew Alvarez, Tommy Kingston, Norm Burgess, Wendy Hughes Garcia,
Hello,
Lisa
Uncle
Poole,
Norm.
Linda Chris, Tammy Keeling, Ricky King, Bobby Leister, Rena Scherer, good morning.
Donnie says she likes my Sancho's hat. Sancho's one of our favorite haunts down in beautiful Cabo San Lucas, and she points out we might as well go into the First State Bank of Louise Astros update. She points out that we need better pitching for sure. Hader should help coming back soon.
Problem is, Hader's not a starter.
No, but Josh Hader can pick up the slack where this Nunez guy and Brian Abreu is back. You know, he went through a period. Abreu went through a period where he admits he had gotten out of his routine. He'd gotten a little fat. He wasn't pitching very well.
Is he out of it again?
That's what I'm wondering, honestly, because 2 years ago he really refocused and was really in shape and was really a dominant late reliever. Hader came in, $19.5 million, and he's been a star, but he's hurt. And now you've got Hunter Brown on the 15-day DL because of a shoulder strain. I don't know. I really don't know.
They lose 9-7.
Back in the day, Astros are 6-5, still lead the West.
Look at the issues, though. 11, 23, 30, 32 runs in the last four games that they've given up. That's not good, folks.
And then they win a game 11-0.
Yeah.
The bats have been alive. The Astros actually last night in 9 at-bats had 13 hits. The Rockies only needed 8 at-bats, but they had 12 hits.
Well, they had 8 runs in the 5th is what did it.
So that's the problem. The Astros have a tendency to fall flat. I'll tell you who did not fall flat, who looked great. Jose Altuve looked great at the plate. I think he collected 3 hits. Show me there. Am I right?
Yep.
Altuve had 3 hits. Jeremy Pena went 2 for 5. Somebody else had a couple of hits. Oh, Loperfido went 2 for 3. Kids.
No, 0 for 3, but had a couple RBIs.
Oh, had a couple RBIs. That's right. He played good defense. Loperfido's a fine player. He's going to be just fine in left field. Cam Smith hit the longest Astros home run in Colorado
Coors Field history.
429 feet, just a master bomb. He is somewhat like, I'm not making the comparison because we know the greatness of, but when I was at Texas and Akeem Olajuwon came in to play with the University of Houston, I can remember all of us deciding to go to the game because we'd heard about this kid. And he was clumsy. He was awkward. We made fun of him. He was a soccer player. But then when he would get the ball and jump and dunk, and you'd be like, man, there's another gear there. This guy's got wild, crazy game to be 6'11" and be able to do those things. I see some of that in Cam Smith. That he's out there and he's kind of rangy. And the other night he was chasing down a ball.
Well, don't forget, he didn't play left field or right field until last year when the Astros traded for him.
And he was also playing baseball at Florida State as like a freshman in 23. He's very young, but he's super athletic. I mean, uber athletic. He can run down balls in right that are just ridiculous, and he makes plays that make you go, wow, this guy, if he grows into his body, if his hitting becomes a little more consistent, I realize that's hard to do on the daily at the major league level. You're going to have slumps with this kid, but there are moments of greatness there that just can't be coached.
I think Joe Espada made the right move. You know, they were blowing out the A's on, what was it, Saturday?
Afternoon? 11 nothing.
It was 10-0, and he gave him the green light on a 3-0, and he drilled it over the left field fence, and I think that got him on a spark because he's raised his batting average 40 points since then. Yeah. I think this was a key to last night's game, though. I think if Cody Bolton doesn't get that comebacker and stays in the game beyond the 4th inning,
would have been fine.
I think they might not have given up 8 in the 5th.
So Bolton was the starter?
Yeah.
Man, he's 27 years old. It's a young man.
Well, he's a reliever, but I think he was thrown in to start yesterday because of all the injuries. And there's another one, guy that starts and he gets hurt. But,
he's the size
Ryan Weiss was the guy that just did not do well in the 5th inning yesterday.
So Bolton 6'2", 210. Ryan Weiss 6'4", 210. They're all giant people.
Yeah, you gotta be tall and throw it
hard.
Yeah. If you're,
By the way,
Greg Maddux ain't pitching in the majors anymore or coming up anymore.
Help is on the way, though. Spencer Arrighetti the other night, he pitched 8 innings and had like 13 strikeouts and walked. He walked 4 or 5 people, but he gave up no earned runs and only 1 hit. I think Arrighetti will come back and be an instant boost. It's amazing to look at Spencer Arrighetti, who once played for the Generals here in Victoria, but to look at him as a shot in the arm, a veteran presence now, him coming back, I think, will help the Astros.
Mike Burrow's slated to get the start for the Astros today.
Yeah, he's fine. He'll do fine.
So,
I tell you what, Donnie's faithful.
well, they're
she
still
stays
leading
up
the
and watches
division.
until
Thankfully,
late.
they might be playing in the worst division in the majors.
They might be. Don't care
This
how you
year.
make the playoffs as long as you make it.
Yeah. So
Yankees are 7-2. The Guardians are 6-5.
Yeah, they're the only ones running away with it. Everybody else is like around 500 in the majors,
Yeah. Well, you know,
except for Boston.
it's a
They're
long
terrible.
season.
Yeah.
The Yankees won't win 140 games. You know,
Brewers
they're
and
just-
Dodgers, 8-2 each, and the Yankees at 8-2 or 7-2. So that's it. Nobody's really running away with it this year, like in past years. But
Well, we are 10 whole games in.
that's true.
11 for us, 9 for them. Yeah, Donnie likes Arrighetti. Good morning, Ryan Hopping. P. Strauss, hope that satisfied your Astros Jones for the morning.
Morning, Chan Man.
Brent Anderson, good morning over in San Antonio, buddy. Hope you're doing great. Brent, I want to debrief with you at some point about your photo exhibition you did.
Andrew Alvarez asked what we think of the ABS challenge system. It's not bothering me as much
That's
as
right.
I thought it would as a purist. I read an article after like the first week of the season or first couple of weeks of the season. Actually, umpires were calling balls and strikes at a more consistent rate this year than they did last year by about 1.5%. I think last year they were around 2.5% or 92.5% getting it right. They were 94% at this point. Maybe they're down a little bit watching the challenges with the Astros.
Hi, Peter McNally. There is some strategy, though, Astros.
Yeah.
You're given 2 challenges.
Chris
Now,
Price, good morning.
the batter, the catcher, or the pitcher. Can a manager call for
I
it?
don't think so.
The
I don't
batter,
know.
for sure, the batter, the manager, or the batter, the pitcher, and the catcher can all tap. Hey, I want to review that. If your review is successful, I said that was a strike. You said it was a ball, Mr. Umpire. And the video proves that it was a strike, which, by the way, what makes that fun is they put it on the screen and the audience is like, yeah, when the batter is
The
right.
only issue I have with it, though, it's a 2-dimensional plane in the middle of the plate that determines whether or not it's a strike, and umpires have that 3-dimensional view, so they kind of use the whole plate. That's all.
Well, one thought would be that if you're wrong, there is strategy involved. Because and that's one thing that what I didn't like was the endless challenge or the automatic override where it's basically the computer makes the call. I don't want that because we believe.
There's some umpires though that have said, you know what, if you're just going to do this, let the computer make the call every pitch.
But I have said for years, and I think that we believe there are some pitches that are too close to take. If you're up there at the plate and it's a 3-2 count and the bases are loaded and a walk gets you a win and that ball is just a little bit outside and you don't just foul it off and the umpire says, no, wham, I'm ringing you up. You better have a challenge saved in your quiver to use to prove that that was a walk. I mean, I like the managerial side of that as well. There's still some strategy involved. But for example, you've done a lot of baseball games. You've managed, you've called a bunch of games. Do you agree in what I call the situational strike? A ball that might not be a strike, it might not be right down the middle, but at money time, when the pitcher says, I'm going to throw it lower in the zone and a little bit away because I don't want him to turn on this and rip me, and he pulls that off. Do you believe that umpires historically have rewarded that? Because I do. I think umpires historically have said, oh, yeah, boom, he got you.
You know what?
Too close to take.
I think as you get higher up the level, no. But I think at lower levels of baseball, yes.
There's Sheriff A.J. Louderback, our House District 30 rep, joining us. Good morning, sir. Welcome
and I think
in.
sometimes the umpires just want to
In the game.
Yeah, well, and the game or insert themselves into it a little bit.
True.
But, you know, it was interesting, though, watching the Astros game on, was it Sunday?
That they lost or they win?
Yeah, I think it was Sunday afternoon.
It was a
Because
Sunday.
both the Astros catcher, I think it was Diaz, and I don't know who was catching for
The other guy.
for the A's, but both of them challenged a pitch, and both pitches were 3 inches off the plate. So even the catchers don't always have a great reference of the strike zone, and you think they would.
I think
I mean,
that
3 inches is quite a bit.
That depends on what we're
Well,
measuring.
exactly. That's what I'm talking
Absolutely.
about. Balls and strikes
It
is
is
a lot.
if it's an additional 3 inches.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We have talked about the idea that the catcher has a better perspective than anybody, and I think that the challenges have been won more by the catchers and then the umpires and then the pitchers. The pitchers, I
Hey,
think
Egan.
a lot of times are begging, "Hey, Egan, how you doing?"
Yeah. So, but it's as a you know, as somebody who's considered himself a purist, it doesn't bother me as much as I thought it was going to.
As a Canadian,
And it hasn't taken away from the game or distracted the game or lengthened the game.
lengthen the game. And by the way, as a
And if you
Canadian, I don't think of you as a purist. You're more of a hybrid.
oh, is that it?
Yeah, you're kind of a hybrid. I mean, you're like a kind of American, kind of Canadian.
I didn't want the DH and the NL, but
I agree 100%. I've always thought that managing around the DH or managing around the pitcher's spot was good baseball. I also did not want the idea that you can't substitute a pitcher whenever you want. I didn't like that. So I thought that a manager should be able to change a pitcher in the middle of the count. Now it's like you bring in a guy, he's got to pitch to 3 people.
yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Egan says we're sounding good on the No Bull Network. Appreciate that.
Man, we really appreciate. On the way to Nixon, well, good morning, sir, and thank you. That is awesome.
So I guess he's listening on 103.9 this morning.
Gives us a chance to take a break. Whether you're listening in Calhoun, DeWitt, Goliad, Gonzales, Karnes City, Atascosa, B, Frio, Jim Hogg, welcome on the No Bull
Victoria.
Network. Know that when you're in Victoria, the place to stop is Vera Cruz Restaurant. Get into Vera Cruz and have the best queso, the creamiest guacamole, and the absolute freshest chips and salsa that you'll eat anywhere.
And the best Mexican food. Period.
Fantastic. If you're on the road and have a problem, you need to call
Allen's
Record Service, 578-6300. Allen is your go-to pro-to. Tow-to. They are the pros in the towing business. Allen's can get you from here to there, really from anywhere within the sound of our voice, in quicker than anybody and safer than anybody. Went Services, Went Electrical. Went inviting you to call them regarding a whole house generator.
Yep, now's the time. Get it in.
Full turnkey installation. We want to do something we don't do very often because through the years, sponsors come and go. They do. They come for a while, they leave, they come back. We've never had a cross word with a sponsor. We've never lost a sponsor. We've had some leave and go and do other things. One of those that I want to, acknowledge and thank this morning for sure is White Trash Services. White Trash Services was with us pretty much from the very beginning. Their vision, they're seeing what this could be when we were on an AM channel in a little bitty closet at another radio station, floundering. They supported us then.
There's Monty Howard.
And they've supported us all the way through. Just wanted you to know that if you've noticed that white trash is not being touted every day, it doesn't mean we don't get along with white trash very well. They've done a great job for us. BJ and Scott Nelson are very forward-thinking and very aggressive with their advertising. They will be back. They're quote unquote taking a break.
We appreciate
Be
all the
aware
support.
that BJ is encouraging you to listen to Bunny Pounds and the reading of the Bible. When do you know when that's coming up?
America Reads the Bible.
America Reads the Bible. I don't know. Brian Small, no clue what you're talking about. But I'd like to really thank BJ and Scott, and they encourage you to focus on the good work that they're doing regarding the volunteer fire departments. That
April
campaign,
18th through the 25th.
the 18th through the 25th, you'll be able to listen as the Bible is read all the way through from start to finish. Do you know where they can find that?
At AmericaReadsTheBible.com.
AmericaReadsTheBible.com.
475 leaders of influence around the country will be taking part in reading parts of the Bible for this 1 week, one nation, one book movement.
It's very nice, and it'll be on several places locally for the entire time. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah, I think some restaurants are going to have it on.
White Trash Services did a great job of giving back. If you
550-1826. If you do need trash service, give them a call.
if you dialed a 1, 2, or 3 year service agreement up, they gave $25, $50, or $100, over $32,000
Nice.
to date, given for no encumbrance to volunteer fire departments around the area. So we're going to be joined in a few minutes by our congressman. We're very excited about that. If you have a question for him, feel free to send it along. I guess the big news today, really, and we can talk to the congressman about this as well. President Trump setting a deadline of 8 o'clock tonight, says he's going to bomb, he said, all the bridges in Iran, all the power plants in Iran. Now, to show you what a quality guy the president of Iran is, he's encouraging Iranian citizens to gather and lock arms and form a human shield around the power plants.
Yeah.
This is a smart guy. This is a guy looking out for his people, isn't it? They don't care about their people at all.
Iran rejected the peace proposal yesterday. They reportedly didn't like the idea of a 45-day ceasefire. They wanted a permanent end to hostilities and future guarantees that we would not strike them again.
Yeah, we can't make those guarantees. Israel, meantime, says they killed 2 senior IRGC figures, and they name them. Major General Mahid Kadami and
Quds Force undercover
Unit Leader Ashgar Bakari.
Yeah.
They know Mas. They know Mas. Welcome to our listeners on Magic 95 FM.
Yeah, they bombed the natural gas field, I think, in southern Iran yesterday. So,
yeah. Sports news: Michigan beats UConn for the title, 69-63 at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. A 37-year drought, as opposed to, like for Texas and A&M, a permanent drought, a complete desert. UConn had won the previous 2 national championships, and they lose to Michigan in the final. That's as good a run as we've seen in a while. Maybe Duke at some point. But Michigan, too big, too strong. They had like 9 guys on that team that looked like NFL tight ends. It looked like a team of LeBron James out there. So,
no, good game. Man, nice win for Michigan. And a completely different game than the women's game on Sunday, which was just a terrible display of basketball.
Terrible basketball.
Yeah.
It's just boring.
When you miss runners in the lane, when you miss layups from right beside the basket, you clank them off the glass.
I used to like the women's game because they were really good shooting the 3, and they were really, really good at the free throw line. But this game of women running down the floor and not making layups is just, it's horrific.
Yeah.
It's just a different game.
No, and I honestly, I see better shot making I've seen better basketball at the NAIA on the women's side. The NCAA product is not that good.
Yeah, it's not just the women's game, period. It's the women's NCAA game that struggles.
Yeah. Kelly Frommie asked if we saw that Soleimani's daughter and niece who were living in L.A. Apparently, or no, was it granddaughter and aunt or something getting deported?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they even get here to begin with is the question I want. I mean, this is a guy we killed because he was a known terrorist. We targeted him in the middle of Iraq. Remember that strike where nobody else died but him?
Yeah, done just perfectly, surgically in the middle of the day. Trump waited till he got out of town. They followed him with a drone and just eliminated the truck that he was hiding in the belly of.
And we let them live here. And we've let them live here knowing that they have gone on social media and espoused how bad the United States is and cheered when they've killed Americans. Yeah.
Craziness. Junior, I agree. Women's softball is excellent action, great plays, and lots of hustle. Those young ladies are really, really getting after it. I'm going to tell you something else that it's just an observation. There has been to me, a re-feminization of women's softball. I think there was a time there that, and I can just go back a couple of years to when Oklahoma was just beating everybody, and nothing judgmental, but every girl on the team was like 5'10", 190. And now you've got these, a second baseman is little again, and a shortstop is, super quick. And it just seems like more stereotypical girls are playing than rather just bigger, faster, stronger. It's not like the WNBA where you have, where the average girl's 6 feet tall. These are just girls that can flat play softball.
What could go wrong with this? California startup company wants to launch 50,000 giant mirrors into orbit so they can beam sunlight back to Earth at night.
Well, all it would do is, have you ever seen a fish aquarium where the light is on 24/7? It just grows algae everywhere. The Earth was designed pretty good by the great one. I think I would leave it alone.
Idiots.
Yeah, there's not the smartest people.
No. Let's see what else is happening in the world today.
Wow, an 80,000 ton shortage is projected for lithium in 26.
Wow.
Energy X.
No wonder we're going to the moon. There's got to be full of lithium there.
Energy X, the quiet brother of Racer X, is opening up 9.8 million tons of lithium.
And I think this is pretty cool. If you were on Artemis and you lost contact with Earth as you went around the moon, would you be worried a little bit that maybe
I could be anxious.
You're just going to go Major Tom and keep drifting?
Right, I could be anxious. I guess you're counting on the gravitational pull of the moon to slingshot you back to Earth.
That's what they were counting on.
And it worked, as these 4 astronauts have now gone farther into space than any human being ever that we know of, except for the original aliens.
I'll be honest, this thing has kind of turned me around a little bit because I've kind of done a 180. I wasn't that excited about
We weren't anti-NASA, but we were meh. Who cares?
Been there, done that was sort of my thing, and now I'm like, this is actually kind of cool. I wish, though, I hope NASA is quick to release more images, more videos. I'm tired of watching coverage of this, you would think 50 years after the fact, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we would not get simulations when I'm watching a news coverage of what Artemis is doing in space.
Yeah.
So I hope NASA is very quick in releasing more video of what's going on. I thought the images of Earth were kind of underwhelming a little bit.
That's climate change. Did you notice how I just want to ask you to think about something for a minute, and I want to read that. I'm going to ask you how you figure that Dick Nixon had a zero lag, real time. Tricky Dick picked up the phone and spoke to the astronauts, and this is back in the rotary phone days, 1969. What technology were they using then to allow Nixon to talk with no time lag? Hi, hello, how are you, Mr. President? Great, good morning. Tricky Dick talked to the astronauts on the moon in 1969.
Satellite technology.
I think, yeah, I'm sure, 1969, yeah. Cell phone, the first one.
You got to think about it.
Nah, he was calling
That
Los
stuff-
Angeles.
the
He was
go-
calling a studio in
The
Los
government
Angeles.
has had access to that stuff long before. I mean, your cell phone will now sync up to a satellite if you have no cell service.
There is more technology right here, than we used to put them in on the moon. Go back to that article.
But they're saying that, basically the government is using this technology about 40 years before it ever makes it to
That's what they're
us.
telling you. Wink, wink. That's not it. Right here. Trump officials say
CNN reporting.
the U.S. taxpayers may receive bigger refunds this tax filing season than ever, thanks to a new tax measure in the so-called Big Beautiful Bill. Which, by the way, shows you just how dumb the American public is. We got to have a cool name for it. Yep. The Big Bird Bill. While not all taxpayers, this is where we fit in. While not all taxpayers are eligible due to income limits and other restrictions, those who qualify.
We're the other restrictions, not the income limits.
Could see a modest boost. The IRS has processed 87.5 million returns so far and paid out nearly 63 million refunds. 6 out of 9, 2/3, get a refund.
It's because you're paying too much into taxes.
The average refund is $3,521. That's up 11.1%, or roughly $351. I don't ever get a refund. I constantly get told, please send us some more money.
You don't withhold enough.
It's my fault.
It is.
Okay. Yeah, Stanley Kubrick, one of the airlines. Hey, Scott Bauer. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Is the man he's in the house? Scott Bauer comes in from the green room. Hey, you wash that martini glass when you're done with it. He just comes in and makes himself at home. Wow. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll be joined by our congressman, which is always enlightening. Folks, Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Get in this week and see why you just always do better at Chesnick. Chesnick inviting you to share in a business that's been in Victoria for over 100 years and over 80 at their current location. They just take care of you. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Get into Palace this week. Have some fun. Help 7 local charities. It's wonderful. Palace Bingo is a community treasure. The Chopping Block, inviting you to come in on a Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wacky Wing Wednesday.
Get in there tomorrow.
Let's just promote that. They're going to have the beef you want, the chicken you want, the veggies and the wraps and all that, and
beat the rush. Go get wings today.
There you go. There you have it. You know what? Enough of all that.
I agree.
I tell you what, Paravita Wellness and the Vita Cafe, get in and get healthy. Our guest, no doubt, watches his macros. Of course, he walks 47 miles a day. I've been there. I've chased him. It doesn't work. I can't keep up. I'm going to get a scooter this time. I'm going up in a couple of weeks to D.C., and I'm going to have a scooter. USA Concrete Coatings asking you to come in. Let them level your home. USA Foundation Repair. Legendary, family-owned business, the best of the best. Charlie Garcia and his brothers will help you level your home. We're joined by our Congressman, Michael Cloud. Sir, it's always great to have you in studio, and good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
He looks like the school kid that just got caught with his phone in class.
No, I'm gonna tell you something. I am overwhelmed at the, I think, respect at the number of times that I turn on my TV and I go, hey, Dawn, there's Mike. There's Mike on TV. I mean, you're on TV more than Pam Bondi, so be careful. But I'm telling you, you're on a lot, whether it's Newsmax or Fox. They come to the Rayburn and interview you, and I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you.
You must be doing something right.
It's part of the job. I mean, it's, some people that seem like they structure the whole staff toward that, and that's their goal. I mean, we're focused on the work and doing that. And
I'll tell you what, sir,
part
you've
of
got
that
a
obviously
staff
is
made for
communicating
radio. You've got a staff made for radio. You're definitely the focal point of that deal.
They do all right.
How are things?
We're doing good. We're here for this week, obviously, and then we go back Monday, and we'll be probably first thing on the agenda. We're still working with DHS funding. We still got to get that funding. We'll be deep into FISA. We're coming up on a FISA deadline, so that'll be a big discussion point when we get back. And part of that, for me, will be the discussion around the central bank digital currency and making sure that we get a ban on central bank digital currency into any FISA legislation that passes.
Do you feel like, with what's going on in Iran, this is just personal opinion, I'm not asking for any classified information, but I've not known President Trump to be much of a bluffer, and he seems to have laid a hard deadline that at 8 o'clock tonight Eastern time, if Iran hasn't agreed to the terms and conditions that he's set forth with his friends in Pakistan, that he's going to unleash a fiery blitz upon them. Does your gut tell you this is going to happen, or do you think they're going to back down? I'm just looking for the inside skinny,
Yeah, I don't have a tactical briefing on the last few weeks, or a couple weeks, I should say. It's been since I was in D.C. last that had any sort of briefing. But, I mean, the president's known to
keep his word.
Keep his word on these things.
And he's also been known, if you look at the tariff negotiations, to back off if countries have made significant progress.
Right.
So
it's
kind of
about,
where I'm leaning
for him,
with
it's
this.
it's about leverage and negotiation, right? So he's trying to get this to a conclusion, wants to see an end to this, wants to see an end that is beneficial to the United States and the world, obviously, and accomplishes the objectives set forth. Right now, Iran wants to continue their mission, which they have said is to destroy the United States, along with Israel, the Satan and the great Satan, as they would put it. And they
Which
were.
one are we again? Are we the great Satan, or are we just the Satan?
I think we're Satan's
we're
big
the great
brother.
one, but, yeah.
Are we the great Satan?
I think we are the great
What
Satan.
are the Jews then? They're just the little
They're just
Satan?
Satan, yeah.
The point is they want to kill us
true.
and take us out. And they had gotten to a point where they were close to building enough of a conventional shield that they would have not been able to. We would have not been able to stop them. No one would have been able to stop them. In which case, they would have shifted to full force into developing a nuclear weapon. And so that was the state of play when things began. They were threatening us with nuclear attack and these sort of things. And so, no one wanted this. Heading into this, the president was working on 8 peace deals, but at the same time, we can't continue to allow Iran to threaten us that way, and certainly to put themselves in a position where we would not be able to have it. Right.
I was very proud of the extensive and costly effort to go get that pilot that was downed. It reminded me of how Hillary Clinton left people in Benghazi, how Biden left people behind, and that the president said, we're going to go get that guy. And I know that is a tremendous boost to our troops' morale, that the same people who did not care that we left $85 billion worth of equipment behind in Afghanistan
Right.
are all upset because we lost a couple of we chose to blow up a couple of C-130s in
Right.
a rescue mission. I was very, very proud of the president because I've observed that this president is very anti-war. He does not want people to die, and yet he's willing to do what he believes is right. And by the way, I was going to say, midterms be danged. He's going to do what's right. where do you stand, or what is your concern going into the midterms? We have 8 months. If he wraps this up in the next couple of weeks, we have 8 months. Are the midterms
Yeah.
in trouble?
I'm always going to be concerned about it. You hope for the best, but you assume the worst and work toward it. I think we still have some things we got to get done in the House. I think the Save America Act, Americans are expecting something to be done on that. They're expecting that to become law.
Is there anything that shows how out of touch the Democrat Party is with their constituents than this issue? Because polls are anywhere from 75 to 90% of Americans are in favor of the SAVE Act.
Oh, yeah,
and the Democrats
exactly.
keep gaslighting Americans and their own party faithful and say, we don't want this. You don't want this. But the polls show that they do.
Yeah, overwhelmingly they do. Americans are not afraid of having a photo ID. They have one for everything from checking out books at the library to getting on planes to going to a Democrat National Convention.
That's right.
And so
To
this is
voting in the House.
to voting in the House. This is not a controversial issue. This is something that's to be expected. They want to make sure that elections are secure, and the Dems in the Senate don't. Your neighborhood Dems, your Dems across the country. Okay, this is
The
sensible
Dems
policy.
they poll.
Yeah, and so, but it's one of those things to where when you get the White House, the Senate, the House, you expect to see not platitudes. You expect to see action, and you expect these things to become law. And right now, really, we should be doing more in the House. I'm always going to be trying to push the envelope to get things done. But right now, the real sticking point on the president's agenda is the Senate, and they're doing great damage not only to the midterms but to the country at the moment.
Let's go back to the funding bill. What exactly was the issue with Congress? Because the Senate said, "Oh, we got it. We got this figured out. We're going to send it back." So where did you see issues with it that you weren't going to support it?
Well, it failed to fund all of DHS, didn't fund our border security, didn't fund one department that was really important was HSI. These are the people who go after child traffickers. So it didn't fund that department, wasn't going to fund ICE, which was, this is number one campaign promise from the president, and so they're not wanting to fund it. And some would say, because ICE is funded through the One Big Beautiful Bill, so some people are like, well, we'll just work around it. But there's a great danger in passing an appropriations bill where the number is 0 in the appropriations bill. And some would say, well, it's funded over there, but once Congress has spoken and passed a bill that says there's a big goose egg in this department, that opens up a whole new realm of legal quagmire as to Congress has spoken saying legally that they want nothing funded for this. And so you can point to that pot of money, but it would open up a whole new legal gray area about, are they really funded, are they not? And so, again, the Senate Dems know this. They're working to run out the clock on the Trump administration, and we need to make sure it's funded.
Very interesting. I'm curious how I knew that people, opponents of some of this, have said, well, the Big Beautiful Bill funded DHS, and they can just operate off of that. But I understand what you're saying is once everybody would legally say, well, Congress said 0, therefore we're.
It's really kind of it's really a dangerous precedent right now because we're to this point to where we've funded the whole government, and now we're going to start not funding different agencies. And then there's talk about, well, just put it all in a reconciliation bill, fund it for 3 years. We're like, well, why don't we just fund all the parts of the government we like for 3 years at this point and send Congress home for,
Right.
It's where are we headed as a country? And it's already messed up enough. The people are not represented enough, but this is where we're going. It's really not the right direction to head for a functioning government. We need to get back to, working like it's supposed to.
Is that what you're going back to D.C. this week? Is that when the serious debates will start again?
Yeah, I mean, there was an attempt to try to push the funding. Well, it came to the House. We rejected it. The Speaker called it a joke, went back to the Senate. They basically sent it back to us, and they rejected our proposal to fund all of that for a couple months, to give them a window to continue to negotiate, to do all the things that needed to be done. What they've sent us, the House has, they had a call to try to talk us into, well, this is the best option. That didn't go well, and so there's still a lot of opposition in the House to the package that came back that we already rejected just a week prior. So there could be some ways around it. There could be, for example, if there was no language at all and the bill didn't address DHS. And didn't have a zero there, and it just was silent on the issue, then maybe you could point to the one big beautiful bill. There's possibility for reconciliation. I mean, it's just sad though that we have people in the Senate who don't want to fund the protection of the homeland, especially with everything that's going on right now in our country.
Well, the momentum has been so strong, right? Don't you hate seeing? I mean, I don't want your hands to be tied. I want you to be able to do what you feel like you need to do. Is everybody still satisfied with Tom Homan? Are we still going the right direction with all of that?
I think so. I mean, I don't hear complaints about Tom Homan. I think people have seen him as a level head in this, strong but strategic, purposeful, and you've seen him address these issues with a tremendous heart of compassion,
Yes,
as well, and. What motivates him is the kids that were lost, and and making sure neighborhoods are secure, and so he's the right man for the job, I believe. And
I thought it was pretty disgusting to see some of these people. I don't know what they thought they were trying to accomplish, but their treatment of ICE agents in airports when they were traveling over spring break just vile.
yeah,
I mean, I'm it's not really a question or anything here,
Yeah.
but when they got moved into airports to help with, alleviate the lines, and people were just going up to them with their phones going to go viral and just be absolute complete clowns to these guys.
Yeah, it's
and women.
It says something sad about our society when that's what's being promoted, from that side. It's not a respect for law enforcement. It's not. It's literally you kind of go to colleges now at some of these universities, and they think your greatest contribution to society is to protest.
The pursuit of anarchy. Peter McNally, great listener and friend of the show over in Beaumont, asks, what's the end game? If the U.S. takes out the enemy's infrastructure, bridges, rail, air, power plants, etc.
The point, it seems to me, and again, it's been a week since I was in a briefing, is to push them to a point of decision. It's about creating leverage to get to a point of decision to get Iran to back off of their nefarious intents, and you get to a point where we've blown up everything else. So,
Right, might as well blow it up.
Do you get a sense that Congress is going to have to act on this to keep hostilities or keep going with actions in Iran, or is it you think?
I like to think we're going to wrap it up soon. The president's said probably a few more weeks. I know he's working to bring it to a conclusion. That's why he's escalating the issue at this point. I'd like to see it wrapped up sooner, and certainly that would be the hope right now.
When I felt
There is an issue of funding when it comes to how are we going to fund it still, or it's more really funding the replenishment of the munitions. But
doesn't he have like a 60-day window roughly before he really needs to come to Congress and sell it that, hey, this is an act of war and I need you to approve war?
Yeah.
And I don't know where Congress would be right now. So I'm hopeful that he can wrap it up before he needs permission.
Yeah, and then we've got to figure out again how to rebuild. Some of this, it's easy to look at Venezuela, it's easy to look at Iran too in their own stovepipe, so to speak. But it's important that we take a look back and look at what's happening here in the context of America was on decline. In history in the United States, there had never been a point where you'd seen a great country like this begin to decline and then be able to resurge. And so we needed a dramatic change agent to come in. And so, people might critique certain moves, but these are moves within the context of a larger picture, in that President Trump inherited a plan of China to invade Taiwan in 2027. Mm-hmm. Taiwan makes 80% of our chips. That would debilitate our military, not to mention, everybody's cell phone, and cars and everything else that runs our world these days. So these are chess moves in a sense to isolate China as well. And so they are what they are in, Venezuela was its own thing in its own
But a
sense.
lot of their oil
But-
went
but
to Russia
it's-
and China.
But it's also these are entities that have been standing up and giving strength to China as well. Already, we've seen signals that China is no longer looking at that 2027 date. And even if we just push their intents back 2-3 years, it gives us time to onshore manufacturing, to build those factories that can build chips, to do these things, and to be in a much stronger position going forward. So a lot of this is about securing another 100 years of American dominance in the world. And we as Americans aren't used to looking at the 20, 30, 50, 60, 70, 100-year plan about what's best for our kids and grandkids. That's why we're $39 trillion in debt. But these are the kind of decisions and what we're doing to right the economy and to build an economy on strong foundations and jobs and these kind of things, as opposed to the kind of shot in the arm stuff we've been doing for the last couple of decades. It's a transition period, and yet we're still doing pretty good as a country.
We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but what is your reaction to what other countries are doing in the Western Hemisphere and running away from socialism in their elections and electing, more, I guess,
Freedom-oriented.
freedom-oriented,
leaders.
What's your thought on that as you look around kind of globally in the Western Hemisphere?
Yeah, I think it's been inspiring to other countries to see a leader who cares about their country, as opposed to wanting to be part of these international events. It was more like everybody goes there and it becomes this little cabal of friends, and they care more about being accepted in that little circle of international leaders than they do about serving the needs of their own people. And so this is how it should be. We want somebody leading other countries who care about countries. We want the leader of Argentina to care about Argentina.
And it's funny because nobody's sitting there going, "Oh, you're a Argentinian nationalist."
Right.
The world isn't getting mad at Milei for putting Argentina's interests ahead of everybody, China's especially.
Yeah.
But they get mad at Trump for doing that.
And this is the idea of free enterprise brought to geopolitics, in the sense like we understand that healthy competition is actually a good thing. It helps push things forward. It helps,
You're talking about good leadership. I think it's important to note that Vice President Vance is in Budapest right now with Oban and really promoting his reelection. Vance championing this morning the great effort it's kind of like you think globally, you act locally. That Hungary has done a great job of managing their own pollution issues and all of that, and saying, hey, if Europe would take the position that Hungary has taken, we wouldn't have such a climate crisis in their minds. I'm going to be curious to see how that goes over there. I had a conversation with an active duty military person the other day who said, look, getting out of NATO would be very cumbersome, very difficult. It's not just as easy as saying we're going home. But what do you think about if we were to back some of our troops out of Europe, where we have historically been the protector, savior of Western Europe for decades, bring those folks home and find a way to mend our fences with Canada and strengthen our relationship, maybe even help eliminate the cartels in Mexico? Could we really form, NAFTA is not the right word, but a more unified Western Hemisphere that could pick up Greenland and make this side of the world, hey, we're doing pretty good over here?
Well, and that's really what we saw happening until this issue with Iran popped up. And again, Iran threatening us, kind of started this. And so that's where we were headed, and where I believe the president's intent still is for us to do that, to continue to work. And I was in Mexico a couple of months ago talking with them and getting Mexico to open up to partner with us on security and military stuff. And we've seen them just even a week after that, pass a law saying, okay, that's going forward. And we've seen a lot of cooperation. Even, some would look at the president of Mexico and be like, we're not so sure. But we actually are seeing some cooperation that we hadn't seen in quite a while in going after this. And that's some of the best things we can do is to secure our hemisphere when it comes to pushing back on these cartels and the fentanyl deaths that we've seen against Americans, and all these kind of things. And so this administration has taken security pretty seriously when it comes to what's actually killing and hurting Americans.
Well, I was going to say, I think this incident, this situation in Iran has shown, that don't worry, anytime you want to use this base, it's open to you. That's not really an ally, and some of those folks are not being. That makes me more
and to the point,
taking Greenland.
to the point of NATO. I mean, the president from Trump administration one, has been trying to get them to stand up, to secure. Like, Europe should be taking care of Europe. Like, why are we going over and having to be the strong arm in Ukraine and that issue? I'm like, this is really a European issue. Now, Iran, they were threatening us, and personally, Ukraine and Russia were not, and so we, that's a European issue that they should be able to take care of themselves. We do have integrated, weapon systems and those kind of things with NATO. So in a sense, yes, there's been a lot of cooperation there to where it's not just turning on a switch and turning off a switch necessarily. I have to say, I am concerned about some of these countries as they're heading into, as their cultures are changing and they're turning into
Islamic
countries. Like, I'm a little concerned about having countries with NATO. Actually, the King of England's going to be coming to address Congress here in a few weeks, and I'm kind of I'm not sure why, to be honest.
Yeah. And he had no problem recognizing Ramadan, but did not want to recognize Easter this year.
Right. I'm not sure what he has to offer the U.S. Congress, in spite of where all the improvements I'd like to see in U.S. Congress. It seems like he should be listening to us.
British taxpayer vacation, paid
I
vacation,
believe
maybe.
This will be over in Iran before the king comes to the United States. I am curious to see how this will ultimately play out. It's interesting when you have a group of people that we try to assign mores to and ideology to, that, they're just like us, they're just on the other side, or they just worship differently or whatever. At the end of the day, we are a lesser people to them, and we're infidels, and I think at the end of the day, they'd love to see us all dead. And I commend the president for doing what, and I've told Ash this, there's no doubt that Trump knew this would be unpopular. He knew that the midterms are pivotal, and yet he did what needed to be done in spite of popularity. And
right.
I respect that.
Well, and I can appreciate the concern. Like, we don't want this to become an Iraq. We don't want to be there another 30 years. We don't want, and certainly that could happen, more likely with another president than this one. But we're 30 days roughly into this at this point. Probably a little too soon to be
calling it Vietnam.
Calling it that. And so, it's one of those things definitely to be mindful on it, because we should learn from history. We should be looking at saying, hey, we got to make sure that this doesn't turn into that. But we're not that yet, and it's a little too soon to start calling it that.
I agree.
We got a couple of minutes. I want to turn things more closer to home. But what's your reaction to the crazy news that broke at the end of last week with all the fraud with the hospices and Medicare fraud and Medicaid fraud in California?
Well, after Minnesota and what we saw going on there, I mean, you knew that and we had a hearing about this, and I said, well, it's striking that this happened in Minnesota, and to the level and scale that the cooperation went all the way up to the chain, even to the governor's office. But the system's the system. They took advantage of the system, and to think like they were the only state doing this was very unlikely. And so to find out that this is going on in California, it's. I'm shocked to find there's gambling going on in here. It's like,
did you see the
kind of
hospice?
expected it, to be honest. We didn't know what the numbers would be, but fully expected that was happening there.
Did you see the hospice facility that had a 97% survival rate? I mean, they were milking this thing as long as everybody was living. They're all on hospice, but 97% lived. Like, come on, that's just fraud.
Yeah.
Are you looking into Texas at all, or are you looking to see if there's any sort of fraud like this in the state of Texas?
Well, one of the points I made is like the loopholes are there, and so we've got to fix it. The states are incentivized in a sense to misuse the system, and so we've from our perspective, from a legislative standpoint, yes, we want to uncover the waste, fraud, and abuse. Yes, we need to go after it. Where there's criminal activity and malfeasance, we need to go after that as well. But like, we've got to fix the system so that there's not this broken incentive in it to where you're incentivized to do wrong. And so from a legislative standpoint, that's what I've been trying to work and focus on. Is let's not forget this is our job to fix.
Yeah.
Where are you guys off to today?
We got a number of meetings, mostly in town, I think. Actually, my calendar sync thing stopped working this morning, to be honest. A little tech issue we got to figure out. But I know we have some issues dealing with the Port of Calhoun and a couple other meetings today, different projects.
Are you going to see
on.
Charles?
So,
House next door, my neighbor.
Is he coming to the? I think somebody else is.
I
coming
bet
to
Charles
yeah.
will be there.
Oh. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, sir, we talked about it before you got here, but we always appreciate your time and your availability. And folks, you've just had a conversation with our congressman. It's not scripted. There's no cue cards, and we just appreciate your candidness and your complete transparency, your openness to your constituents, and any time that you're available, we just really adore it when you have time to come by. So thank you for all you do. Thank you for being our connection to what's going on globally. And I know you well enough to know that you and your family had a beautiful Easter, a reflective time, and a refocusing even of the purpose of life. And just thank you for all you do for us. And we wish you nothing but the absolute best and the strength to continue being the powerful and I just guess rational, thoughtful leadership that you provide to this area. So thank you so much for what you do for us. We've reached the top of the hour, and just want to thank Congressman Cloud for coming in, and I hope that you folks have a great, great Tuesday. God bless you all. Have a great day. Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.